Our primary focus today is to actually work through a unit that incorporates tasks. Now the task resource is brand new. We've always had tasks, however they were built into the manager. Now you can actually create a task as a resource. Notice in this case the mechanical pencil assembly task has already been created. Therefore I'm going to edit this. We're going to walk through a form that's already been developed. So right now we're looking at the name and description, and the name basically has been completed. As we scroll through the rest of the form, we'll notice that we have a variety of features, and we'll stop at each one of the sections. So in the next section available to us is a schedule. For those of you who would need to keep track of the instructional time, it will be listed here. More importantly, this note here: assigned due dates and specific access can be completed upon importing this task into a room. We will be walking through that process here shortly. ICAT has a phenomenal planner designed specifically for K-12. Right now we are going to focus in on the actual task itself and not the planner. I'll go ahead and close this particular section up. The instructions is the actual instructions that we want to manage here. Now, the task manages student access and student assessment to the activity. Now, if I don't have an activity to embed, then basically I can describe or write out the instructions in this box. Notice this button will always allow you to maximize to have a full screen for instructions. However, since I know I have an activity that directly reflects to the pencil assembly, what I prefer to do is actually embed the resource. Lightning bolts will always represent that you can attach one item. So in this case, I am looking for my activity, and it's the mechanical pencil sharpener assembly activity. Now this task has the instructions embedded in it. How is this particular item going to be assessed? Well, we actually had the rubric for this. So here was our mechanical system, pencil sharpener assembly, rubric. Notice since we are trying to bring in a rubric, it's the only rubric I have out here, therefore it's an easy pick. Now I'm not sure how many points this rubric was, but I'm pretty sure it was not 100 points. Anytime you attach either a rubric or a test, you will have the option of synchronizing the actual points to the rubric or test. We'll sync. Now we notice it went from 100 points to 12 points, so our rubric is worth 12 points. To review, an ICAT task is designed to manage student activity and assessment. So in this case, what we've decided was the activity that they were going to perform was the assembly of a mechanical pencil sharpener, and the means in which we were going to assess was a rubric. Therefore we attached the rubric as well. Let's hit save. So my mechanical pencil assembly task, if I was to click on this, by doing so I now review it as a resource, not as an assignment. Notice now the instructions are embedded. More importantly, the assessment is completed, including a link to the rubric that we will be using. Another task we want our students to complete is to actually go to a museum. So the Pencil Sharpener Museum, listed here. When I click on it, again, just to go look at it as a resource, notice there isn't any link. I can edit from here. The instruction says to explore the early pencil sharpeners by browsing through the Early Office Museum. Because I have a bookmark to this, I can embed the resource. Now, I had originally said I was going to give them about 5 points as an activity grade. You certainly may change this. However, the item here for manually grading is still selected. If this is something you want them to do, however, they will not be assigned a grade, you can choose this option. And save. Notice now when we are looking at the resource, again, this is a task being viewed as a resource, the museum link will automatically display. So for review, any embedded resource automatically displays, with the exception of documents that cannot be displayed inside of a browser. For example, PowerPoint files, Word documents, Excel files, etc. Links and HTML and images can automatically display. All other things, if you uploaded it, it must be downloaded in order for your student to see it. Now at this point I've modified a given task. For the actual mechanical pencil assembly, I have updated a task to include the link to the museum. Now I want to update the task to include the mechanical system test. Again, I'll edit this. Now I could embed a test right here, but please notice, since this is a test, it is actually an assessment instrument. If I place it here, it will simply still be used as a review, no scores recorded. So in this case, I'll click Test, click the lightning bolt to retrieve the test. Notice again it's going to filter out all content except the item we wish to attach, in this case a test. Tests and rubrics, we always want to sync up with the actual point value of that instrument, so in this case 6 points instead of 100, and save.